Mixing with Mike plugin of the week comes from Heritage Audio. It's the Successor plugin. Successor is a hardware bridge diode compressor modeled after the Neve bridge diode compressors a la 2254, 33609, that category. And essentially what they've done is emulate that or put that together and add a few extra things, additional attack times and all of those sorts of things to make a mix bus compressor, which is the primary design of the Successor plugin. It's designed as a stereo mix bus compressor. And so it captures a lot of the essence of what you would get from a 2254 33609-ish bridge diode from Neve style compressor. Now, they make a ton of other stuff, Neve, emulated EQs and audio interfaces and Herchild, there's like a lot of other products that they make. This is the first native plugin. They do have a series of other plugins there, although I believe it only works with their interfaces, at least as of the recording of this video. So we'll see if those things come out. There's a tape emulation I'm very interested in. Hopefully they make native. In the meantime, this is a really cool mix bus compressor. I've always loved that 2254 33609 type of vibe. With that, Neve kind of, warmth that it kind of adds in, but that edginess that you get from a diode compressor. And so I've loaded this up and I thought, oh, this actually is definitely worth it since we've already done 33609 from Universal Audio. We've done the Arturia 609. We've done the Kive Audio just very recently, their emulation of the first iteration of the 33609, which was Audioscapes. And now we have the Heritage. So maybe this completes some kind of a circle here. Let's have a listen. Basically what we have here, let's just kind of go over the settings real quick. Essentially, we have all the normal settings. Threshold, it's variable. Ratios, all in step things. That actually has a limiter setting because 2254 and the 33609 also have a limiter section. It gives you a wide range of attack times. So from super fast at 50 microseconds all the way up to 20 milliseconds, right? So you get that slow attack if you want that kind of vibe to pump and breathe it. Release time generating from 25 up to 400, and then 2 auto release settings. The auto release settings give you an initial quick recovery from the transient, but a slower recovery for the sustained signal. And apparently it also cycles through when you scroll on your mouse. That's a new discovery. And the A1 difference between them is the A2 has a slightly slower recovery on the initial transient. So that'll give you a bit more of a glue type of sound, whereas if you go to the fast release, give you a little more pump and breathe kind of action. Sidechain filter, which is pretty cool. You have normal high pass filter options, but then you also have kind of bell curve, right, options there as well with some of the filters. So that will give you some different driving elements. It's worth playing around with that a little bit, depending upon where your mix is at, just to kind of get some consistent compression, which is usually the key to good mix bus compression. Gain makeup, again, stepped. That's all pretty straightforward. And if you need a sort of variable version of that, there's an output trim here that you could put in. There's a separate in switch for the blend control. Now, what's odd is when it's lit up, that's off, and when it's pushed in, that's on. So just be kind of aware of that. So you have a wet-dry control. That sort of pairs nicely with the nuke feature. So the nuke feature adds 20 dB on the input, and so you get much heavier compression, which sort of leads into a little bit of how you might set up a parallel compressor setup. I got a power switch that turns it off. There is also a dynamics in switch, so that will you could still run through the electronics without using the compression. So it gives you the ability to do that. You have all the normal copy paste, A to B, all that sort of stuff, some presets in here. Let's have a listen. So I'll run a little bit of music through it, just kind of bypass it in and out as I have it, and then we'll kind of break it down a little bit, maybe go through some different settings. So that's a classic kind of glue setting there with the auto release. Now, you could kind of dig into it a bit more here. I had this on like a 0.5 millisecond attack time. So pretty fast, right? That helps to kind of, just sort of contain the transient, kind of hold it in. Sometimes, when the transients are too exaggerated, it can kind of give a little bit of a sense of harshness, or maybe making it a little bit harder to listen to, or, take away from some of the localization cues, that kind of thing. And it also usually helps to bring out the clarity of the vocal with the faster attack time from the drums. So that's one option, but let's actually kind of go through another option here. Would be go to something that's a bit more of a pump and breathe. Let me just actually copy this, go over to here so we could do a quick comparison. Let's go to a 25 millisecond. Let's go to a slower attack time. We'll need to adjust the threshold back. Maybe we'll go up to 4:1 ratio. Let's see. Right, just to kind of get it to pump and breathe. That's probably was a little too fast at 25, and maybe even slow it down to 100 here. Let's see. So you'll notice here that the initial setting here with the A1 will give it a bit more of a contained sound. The B will kind of make it pump and breathe a bit more, kind of, maybe bringing out a bit more depth and energy to the guitars. In particular, almost feels like a little bit more width to it, although it's really more depth and separation just from the movement of the pumping and breathing. Right, so just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of how you can kind of make this, just kind of work the compressor a little bit, just from a couple different, like two basic approaches: a slower attack time or like a faster attack time with the auto release, just to sort of contain things, to get it to pump and breathe a bit. Let's go back here, and I want to go to the nuke setting. All right, so let's go to the nuke setting here. Let's see. All right, so this compensates for the gain. All right, so here's where I might want to put the mix control in here. Let's see. So yeah, it's going to fall apart there in that breakdown section. But that basic concept, though, just to kind of add in a little parallel, just to add like a little bit of a density thing. You can also do a similar type of thing here if we, let's see if I kind of go back roughly to where I had it there. Do another comparison here. But let's do the other approach here where we kind of let it kind of pump and breathe a bit more with the nuke setting on. Right, so get that more energetic movement in there, and then let's kind of dive in here on the blend. Right, so there's this 4 basic ways that you can use it. The nuke setting is just really cool. I always love parallel compression, and just the ability to kind of mix the, put this in on the mix bus level. This is actually something that doesn't exist on the original hardware unit. So this is a feature that they added in. I mean, you could always just crank down the threshold and, drive more gain into it and, et cetera, raise the ratio and all of those sorts of things. But a really cool addition, a nice one, and actually for a first-time emulation here, at least on the native release from Heritage, a really good a good quality one. Just like it sounds great. How much it sounds like the original unit, I can't say. I don't have experience with that. There are plenty of videos that maybe show you a little bit more about that, how Chris Lord-Alge uses it. I think he's big into this. But that feature and just those 4 basic ways of using it, and you could dig in more and get more out with different ratios and all of those sorts of things, gives you a lot of flexibility, and it's just really captures that bridge diode sound in a really great way. Well, there you have it. Successor plugin, a first release from Heritage Audio, plugin of the week. Check it out.